Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek of All Trades episode 59. Whoa, legendary. I'm Greg Barlow.
He even got the dwarfish in there. And I'm Douw Pretorius. And welcome to Geek of All Trades. It's episode 2 of the new season, episode 59 overall. That's pretty cool.
So if you were collecting them, you would put them in their own binder section, but still they'd go in the same file of Geek of All Trades.
Clearly. So, yeah.
So, for those of you who don't know the reference, whoa, legendary is actually referring to the Hearthstone card game.
Hearthstone in my mind.
Hearthstone, Hearthstone.
I mean, I suppose it depends on which region you're thinking of it from. I've heard both from their online streams and card reveals and stuff. They're like Hearthstone, Hearthstone. I don't know. I always say it's like heart. I mean, it's got heart in it. Damn it!
But the English language is a weird thing, though. It doesn't follow rules like that.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Let's be fair.
So yes, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later because Douw's managed to get himself quite high up on the ladder there. So stay tuned for that.
Wow.
But before we get started tonight, I'm starting a new sort of pseudo tradition, and that's going to be what you're drinking.
Ooh, I'm going to get a new little clink clink. Yeah. Damn it, Greg, you're making more things for me. It's fine. I'll just scour more Etsy.
So Douw, tell me what you're drinking tonight.
I am drinking a Cuba Libre, which is a rum, coke, and lime. And I have used Mount Gay rum. Because I felt like getting fancy rum recently. It's relatively fancy rum. At least as fancy as you get in South Africa without going over certain amounts.
Yeah. Fancy, but to a limit.
yeah, not Bacardi.
So I'm drinking a gin and tonic, my drink of choice. There we go, better in the camera. It looks like water. It's actually gin and tonic with Royal Flush. Royal Flush 5 times distilled gin. And just plain old tonic water. So yeah, cheers. Let's do a cheers on screen.
Cheers.
Clink. And that'll be our libations for the evening.
Indeed.
So yeah, you'll notice we don't have a guest again tonight. Once again, we're just sort of testing out the waters on the digital online format. Watch the space, though. It's certainly not something we're against.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certain that you have met many a person who would like to be on a podcast in your international gaming crossovers.
In fact, not only have I not met several people, not only have I met several people, I've also been on podcasts internationally.
Yes. I watched the first bit, and then you guys got into heavy infinity stuff, and then I was like, okay, I'm out.
So yeah, watch the space. We'll see. It's also quite nice just chatting with Douw, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have our lovely able to play a game on every Wednesday or whatever, and D&D every fortnight is only so much. So
there's less catch-up time, more D&D time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine, except that's about 20 different characters now of your one character in my game. So
yeah. Who's counting?
Someone certainly, probably. I don't know.
Right. So, are we ready to move on to Wild News headline?
Absolutely. Let's see if this actually works.
Ooh.
You can go.
Okay. Did we get our jingle? Okay.
Yeah. It's still going in the background.
All right. Okay. Well, is it
tells
now? Can I talk over it?
It tells over. It does what it used to.
Okay. Nice. So, for those of you who remember, our last Wild News headline ended off with you at the entrance to Viridian City.
Well, non
IP infringing Viridian City. Viridian's a color. It's not an IP. What's the Viridian?
Well, some color of blue, right?
Azure City. Every color is taken as a Pokemon City.
Gilliman Blue. It's Gilliman City.
That's a different copyright infringement.
Altdorf.
I still think that's
it's a little, and that actual capital of the kingdom. So
some other kind of blue city.
Anyway. Cornflower Blue.
Cornflower Blue City.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah.
And you head on into the city. And for those of you who remember the OG Pokemon game / non-IP infringing monster catching game,
we can be taught how to catch.
Yeah. So there'd be the lesson on teaching how to catch, which obviously you know how to do already because you caught headlines last time.
Yeah.
And there would be a man lying down in the road preventing you from progressing further, right?
Until you've done that tutorial.
Yeah, well, it's not a tutorial actually. He's in the English version. He says, "I just need some coffee," like to get up in the morning.
Yeah.
And in the Japanese version, he's drunk.
Because, yeah, why doesn't he have a tie over his head though? Then,
because he's an old man.
I suppose also it's a old pixely game. I suppose they were like, we need to save the pixels.
So yeah, and then in the game you would need to go to the shop and get a parcel to take back to the professor in Palatown, right? Oh. So as you meet this drunk man, are we going with drunk or are we going with needing coffee?
Well, it's 4:20, Greg, so clearly he's stoned.
True, today is 4:20, so yes, he's clearly high as a kite.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Whoa, man, I've seen into the future." Because your first news headline is Portal Reloaded, which is a mod for Portal, now adds a third portal which lets you travel through time in addition to space.
That's kind of cool. Does it? So does it like set the portal and that's where you come? Like when you put it down, that's when you come out.
That's what I thought at first too. But if you watch the video, because they've released quite a few videos like showcasing it, and it's a very impressive mod, by the way. I highly recommend it. It's for Portal 2. And what it does is it gives your portal gun a third mode, which shoots a green square portal instead of a circular one.
Yeah.
Right? And the square portal always takes you 20 years into the future. Right?
Okay.
And always on the surface you put it on, you come out of that surface in the future.
Okay.
But this starts making really weird shenanigans because not only do that, but your portals also stay there. So if you've put portals on 2 walls and then you go into the future, in the future, those portals will be on those 2 walls. But if you like spawn a crate in the past and then go into the future, the crate will still be there in the future because you left it there.
Yeah.
But then you can pick it up in the future and carry it back with you into the past. And then now you've got 2 crates in the past. And then you've got 2 crates in the future. Because as soon as you go back into the past, you now have 2 crates.
Yes.
So it creates like weird time paradoxes everywhere, and you do them for buttons and stuff. And
that's interesting. Okay, so it's like a 2-way portal then that like it's just like either 420 or back 20 sort of like
yes.
Within it. Okay.
So, but
I can see like they would make puzzles there, like where like in the future things have like fallen off of panels of walls or etc.
And but even then, there's still the normal portal shenanigans because in the like demo video they show, he still has to use like going into the past portal to jump through the future portal to go into the past portal to hit the future portal to go. And it's like
that's kind of cool. I mean, it's like a phase. It's a phase shift effectively in the middle of all this stuff, which is kind of cool.
But yeah. So it's a super cool idea, and I wouldn't be surprised if Valve decided maybe if they ever made a Portal 3 to do something similar.
Nonsense. Although they might, only if it's VR, Greg. Only if it's VR.
That's true. Valve doesn't know how to count to 3. We've established this.
Exactly. Doesn't happen. Maybe they'll just skip to 4.
Yeah. Or
maybe
Portal. What's her name? GLaDOS.
Portal GLaDOS. Yeah. Well, yeah, fair. What's the main protagonist's name again?
Shell.
Shell, yeah.
Poor
Shell. Yeah, CHAL. So but they could just be like, oh, that bridge constructor Portal game, that was actually Portal 3. You know?
Oh yeah. Just or even that like team mode in Portal 2, that counts, right?
I mean, that's 2.5 kind of. I kind of treat that the same as like, Half-Life 2, episode 1 and 2. Yeah.
So using your new portal gun, you can obviously just get back to Palatown really quickly because you're just like.
Or Greg, I just put the portal by the guy and just come out 20 years in the
For some
future.
reason, all of the surfaces on the other side of him don't accept portals.
Oh no, but you just put the 20. You just put the 20-year one on your side, and then
Yeah.
you walk through.
Weirdly, he's still there.
Ooh.
Because he never.
Hacks.
He never got
Yeah.
it or whatever.
My
He
package never left. I was doomed.
Because it's 4:20. He just needs a breakfast burrito, and then he'll be fine. He's got the munchies. So you take the package all the way back to Professor Jacaranda, I think his name was.
Yeah, it was Jacaranda. It was in Easeltown.
That's it, in Easeltown. Thank you.
Yeah.
And he rewards you with a new piece of technology called a headline dex.
Ooh.
Which lets you log all of the headlines you ever get so you can go back and read them.
Nice.
Other people call them phones, but
I mean,
you're like,
clearly, it's not only for 20, like for regular folk, it's for professors as well.
Mm-hmm. So he gives you a free phone, so you don't say no.
No, why would you?
Put it in your pocket. And for some strange reason, you feel as if the old man has moved now. So you just step through the portal back. But now where he was, there's another headline. And that headline is that Warhammer Quest Cursed City has sold out. And there's controversy over its limited release.
Yeah, I'm so sad because I didn't get into any of those pre-orders for it, and I really wanted it. I was even like, this set of money is set aside for it. So I guess that's now for other Warhammer stuff.
So for those who are listening and haven't been following along, it's quite interesting because it's a set of sort of exclusive miniatures and a self-contained game.
Yeah,
and it sold out under 2 hours when they released it on their web store.
And you know, like, it's not like they don't know, because I mean, it's effectively just a reskinning of Blackstone Fortress, just in the old world. So with obviously mods and sort of stuff to make it feel proper, like in there, but same sort of mechanics and events and way of playing, etc. So you would think like they'd be like, yeah, we know that a lot of people bought this, so we can expect a lot here. And I don't understand how you would not expect it to sell out, like, regardless. I suppose they're kind of like, rather make too little than sit on stock forever, like those damn lizard men from whatever. But
well, there's a bit of conspiracy on the air as well, because the game itself, like in its manual and stuff, references like upcoming expansions and continued support for the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But they recently announced that this is it. It's a solo run, and they're not printing anymore. They're not doing any more expansion.
Yeah. Really? No. I heard that it was that for just the core. There were no more core sets going to be made, but there were going to be expansions.
So there's a lot of people online who are speculating that it might be a legal issue somewhere along the line. Like they've tripped over some sort of unforeseen legal hurdle.
Do you think like they outsource that rule set out to an external studio who maybe owns the mechanical rights to it or something weird?
It's possible. Otherwise, there's the other side of this conspiracy tree, which says, oh, it's just G-dubs and they're just creating a scarcity so that everyone buys it when it comes back. And they do a bit of
I mean, I will be frontline of that like purchase. So I mean that's a worthwhile conspiracy sort of like thing, honestly. But I don't know, GW is like really weird with those releases though, because like they're either very like cool, we'll pump out things. Like you think back to like the BlackRock like thing that you can still buy those in stores. But
yeah,
yeah, but like other ones, like if you just think back to what was it called, like
the Indominus box
before Indominus, the Vengeance box, the one where it was Dark Angels and Chaos, like that sold out really quickly, and like that became scarce. I can still remember because we still got that box like at Icon. It was like a big deal that people were collecting it, and like you didn't
opening them at Icon and being like, I must assemble them now.
And you didn't see that box until the next edition. So
yeah, strange. Sometimes G-dubs giveth and sometimes G-dubs taketh away.
Chapter Master Cantor said that the Games Workshop social media team originally said that the core set was to be a regular line, but did a turnaround and deleted the posts.
Yeah, I also heard that they've deleted posts and comments on Twitter as well. That they have changed them. That's where the conspiracy theories about the legal problems and stuff are coming from.
Yeah, totally could be. It's a weird one with that because I don't know. Like GW are so they're precious and not precious about their IP. They're like, guys, we can make whatever video game. We don't care. Just make something. And then other things are like, no.
It's ours.
It's ours. We need to make the Tau the Tau, and the orcs are the orcs, and
the Astra Militarum.
Yeah, you know. So it's a bit of an odd one with there. You would think, like, I mean, like the prints are like obviously there.
Yeah. It's
could
unlikely.
Could it be a Brexit thing?
That's also possible, I guess. Like maybe they're just a snag about exporting it or something that they didn't know about until now when they started trying to export it, and they're like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah. Who knows? But I'm quite sad because I mean, like, hardly any boxes came through South Africa. I'm kind of hoping I'm just going to kind of like just pop through to Essex like every weekend and kind of just be like, maybe there's a box on the shelf here. But
that's true, actually.
To be fair, they generally don't bring in like the other boxes. Like you don't see any like what's like even Blood Bowl on their shelves. So
yeah, no Blood Bowl, and I never saw any Blackstone or anything on their shelves.
No, exactly. So they do surprisingly have the one Blackstone expansion on their stock apparently. Yeah, they've got that like on, but it's because I think it's because it's all the models. It's like that one particular Chaos Lord and like all his culty bodies, like sort of like thing. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see if they manage to disentangle whatever issue it is, and then suddenly it pops up again. Because there are some good models in there.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, I want this all just to paint. It's all I wanted it for. Like get some inspiration for that again, because it's been a bit. I'm like trying to get into like painting Marines at the moment, and I'm just like, you're so generic. I hate you guys.
Marines.
Yeah, like so easy, but also just such a pain. And like the problem is like I did the original core like army up to like a very high level, so I'm like I can't half-ass the rest.
You've dug yourself too deep.
Yep, otherwise just be like, but contrast paints and dry brushing. I've learned my lesson. My daughters are keen on not getting that treatment. They're just like, yep, contrast, go.
And it's actually quite satisfying still with contrasts. I've been enjoying using them.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I still use like no like sort of thing against the contrast paints, because I mean, like my Sisters of Battle, I use contrast on them as well, and they're also done to like trying to be like heavy metal for most of them, which is also just proving to be like, oh, this is too much, Douw. What have you done?
Although I will mention one thing about contrast paints. This is an aside, by the way. We've gone down the side. We tried to get into the gym.
Yeah, no.
Still locked. Well, because in Pokemon, the original, you had to come all the way back before you could go to this gym.
Oh, well, who's our Giovanni?
Exactly. We'll have to wait and see. That's like 7 episodes down the line. So with contrast paints, I've noticed, I think they might be more like acidic or something, because my brushes have lasted less. The ones I use for contrast paints than for normal paints.
The cleaning methods have to change because the contrast seeps deeper up in the bristles, so you need to be more thorough with the cleaning, I find. But yeah, I have found similar with that. But also, if you think about it, like think about the volume that you've gone through with your contrast paints as well.
It's true.
Like there's sort of factors and stuff, but I do recognize that like your contrast paints, particularly a big problem with that is like Apothecary White. Like it's still a bit chalky, so if you don't clean it damn well, your brush does take like a little bit of a degradation.
Yeah, I've certainly noticed it with the brush I use for contrast versus the brush I use for normal, and I have been painting other miniatures just the old school fashion, just like in comparison. So it's not like I'm only using contrast or only using the others. So kind of like a study almost.
That's fair. It's been interesting as well because I don't know if you follow Duncan Rhodes, like since he's broken off from Games Workshop.
Here and there.
Because so like while he was working with Games Workshop, he was doing the contrast paints like demonstrations and stuff. He'd be like always like, okay, well, we'll use the contrast medium, we'll use these kinds of things. But since he's been in his like own studio and using the stuff, he's like, yeah, just dilute it with water. It doesn't matter. It still works. It does fly, And he just goes like through all the stuff, and you're like, yep.
Okay, so small aside over. You realizing the gym is closed and you can't reach through. Well, actually, what do we call them? They're not gyms in this universe.
They're necessarily gyms. They're just different types of gyms. Or
I mean, but gym is such an iconic Pokemon.
it
We need to have our own word for it, like battle arena or something. I don't know.
We'll work it out between. We haven't met the leader of the next one yet, so I mean,
yeah. We've got a whole while, because you head out north, out of town, and into some green synonym forest.
Ooh,
known for its insect headlines, I guess.
Lupercal.
Yeah. Totally not Viridian forest.
No.
And wandering around through the maze of trees and getting ambushed by a whole lot of people in shorts who have bug nets. You meet your final headline for the night, because we're running out of time, actually. And that's that. Netflix's animated anthology Love, Death, and Robots is returning this May on the 14th.
Oh, cool. I didn't see the date originally, because like I actually got I watched the leaked trailer before the trailer actually dropped. Okay. So I was like, when is it coming out? But it looks good. I really enjoyed season 1, or like anthology series 1, or whatever like they want to call it. But I'll be interested to see if they continue the storylines or the lore of any of the settings that they introduced in the first setting as well. Because there were a couple, like there's like a lot of people were talking about like that Russian one with the
zombie,
forget what zombie vampire beast things, like the den that they had to blow up. And also, like, I mean, like there's that really cool steampunk China one that was like such a cool idea as well. So I'd be interested to see what there. I also want to see like if they bring back the guys from Pixar to do like a sort of like it looked like there was a bit of a like tongue-in-cheek sort of one coming in there. So
in the trailer, there was a lot of different animation styles, just like before. So it seems that they're sticking to that formula. And a lot of different story types. You definitely got different vibes from each of the sections. So they definitely seem to be sticking with their approach. So I don't think there's going to be sequel stories at all, or even in the same universe.
I don't know,
just
like
the way they.
I don't know, because like the one scene did seem very like World War II-ish, like cyberpunky World War II. Well, not cyberpunk, steampunky World War II, dieselpunk, right?
Yeah. Well,
so like I don't know. Like I'm hoping for some personally, but
I mean, it would be cool.
I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. Like a lot of the stories were self-contained. Like 90% of them were, but like it was that, and like that one that would have been quite cool is just seeing like those like touristy robots, and just see them like in another setting with like not the cats taking over the world sort of thing. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. So you said May 14th?
Yeah, May 14th is the official trailer date that they listed there.
Nice.
So the official release, and not the secret backstreet release. Did you see the secret backstreet release, Douw? Is there a secret website I don't know about?
Reddit.
That's true. That's how I would go for backstreet release.
It was on one thing there.
Our secret backstreet release.
I mean, I have no doubt that there is like something like that. I don't think you would want to go to that one though.
That's true.
But no, I think it was just like television or something like that. It just kind of was like suggested one, not an actual like one of the Reddits I actually follow. So yeah.
Which they seem to be doing more frequently, I've noticed. Like
my phone app is ridiculous with that, because that's just like, hey, there's this post in our South Africa, this in our Joburg, and this. I'm just like, I don't need to read this. Like, there's a reason that the News 24 comment section died, and to avoid this, thank you.
A lot of toxicity isn't needed in my life, thank you.
No.
But yeah, there's definitely some interesting stuff that pops up based off what your other selections are. So.
Oh no, my favorite is always like, I don't know if you saw for a while, there was like the things that they would ask is like, is this subreddit about this thing? And like
Yes.
some of them are great because like you've got like I follow wrestling, so it's like the main wrestling subreddit is called R squared circle, and they're like, is R squared circle about wrestling? You're like, yes, Reddit, yes it is. Well done, you picked it out. Good bot.
Like I'm trying to think of, because I've also gotten some hilarious ones before where it's like, is
Mm,
blah 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 about gaming, and it's like
yeah.
either it's something like R totally gaming, or it's something
Yes,
like
exactly.
R the end of the world is nigh, or like or
Well,
actually
I would just love that as like sort of like the Disco Elysium one. I'm just like, is this about communism? Yes.
can't argue with that. Um, but yeah, okay. So you beat your way through the Viridian Forest with a whole lot of love, death, and robots. Apparently, that's actually what you fought.
Oh
Um,
my. Metal types already?
yeah, and you had like giant space whales. I think there was one of those in the
Yeah,
trailer.
there was.
So yeah, and as you come out into the light from the dense forest foliage, the daylight greets you, and you're about to step towards the next city on your path, and
Clearly
you save your game.
late. Yeah, must be late city or something like that because it's pewter.
Someone calling you to lunch or whatever, so you put your Game Boy, you go save on your Game Boy, and you put it down.
Yeah,
Bonk.
clearly. Nice.
And we'll call headlines there.
Yeah. As an aside of it, like since we're going into like the main section, just like chatting about normal random stuff, sort of thing. I recently came across like a person who had done very much like the MacPat kind of way of thing of looking at Pokedex entries very literally, and then
Yeah.
having a battle royale of all Pokemon. And there's some great things in there because like as soon as Wailord gets summoned, it starts floating because its size and density means it's lighter than air actually. So it just floats. It's like, that's hilarious.
Do they list its density on the
Well,
Pokédex?
you can work it out because you can work out set dimensions and then it gives its weight.
Okay, yeah, fair
And
enough.
by
Yeah.
its dimensions weight, it is actually lighter than air, which is like, oh, well, that's kind of
Hmm.
hilarious. But yeah, it like effectively it all comes down like they're like, oh, well, we need to work out from the winners, like who could win it, and then work back. And they're like, Mac Cargo, when you release it from a Pokeball, because it's like, it's making mass and it's making energy, because it's so hot, as soon as you release it, it blows up the entire like island. So they're like, well, only the Pokemon that could survive that, then like are the winners. So, so it's kind of like, oh, that's quite cool. And then they did like a mythic Pokemon against each other as well, legendary mythics. It actually just comes down to like the two god Pokemon versus each other at the end, sort of thing.
Makes sense.
And then they did a baby Pokemon one as well, which was quite cute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I remember reading an article too about how horrifying some of those descriptions are. Like when you go and read them and actually like put into context, you're like, oh my god, this world is
it
terrifying.
really is. It really, really, really is. Like Muck like leaves like a stream of like just infertile land for like 4 years wherever it goes.
Yeah. One throwaway law line and you've
Yeah.
ruined.
There's also like it's hilarious. They put like they Spoink, that like pig with the curly tail, and if it stops bouncing ever, it dies.
Dies, yes, that
So
was
like
one of
they have that where it just like it stops bouncing because it's watching something and just like
them.
kills over. And the other one as well is Igglybuff. So
Mhm.
Igglybuff, if it ever gets bumped, it can't stop bouncing. In the Pokédex entry it says it is impossible to stop it from bouncing once it starts. So they take it to the literal extreme and it just bounces until it gets enough momentum to leave Earth's atmosphere.
Yeah, they're extinct now.
Yeah. Oh no. But yeah, main section,
Mm.
I suppose.
Okay,
Which
let's move to main, where you're going to tell us about Hearthstone.
getting to legendary in
Yeah, so
Hearthstone.
first of all, tell us like what does legendary mean? Where is that on the ranking scale? Like, is that just
So
it's an opportunity's work, or
it kind of is like how things work, but you kind of have to. It's a bit of a difficult one with there because they changed their ranking system from what it was originally. Originally, they
Mhm.
had it was just what was it sort of like thing. You had like your goal. It went up to did it go up to diamond and then up, or did it not? No, there was a different rank. It's been so long since I switched over. I can't even remember the old ranking system. But effectively, you used to play up in a number of games. You would eventually get up into different rankings. It was very similar to if you've played like League of Legends or like any other one that has MRM and like an ELO sort of thing in there. That you've got like a bronze, silver, gold, etc. And then you would play. There's seasons of play, and at the end of the season, depending on how well you do, you'd then finish. And legend is at the top of the rank, sort of thing. So you have to finish all of the ladder, and then you head over to legend. So as it works at the moment, you start off in bronze, and you start off at bronze 10. You then work your way up to bronze 1, and then you go down up to silver 10, up to silver 1, gold 10, gold 1, platinum 10, platinum 1, diamond 10, diamond 1, and then at the end of diamond 1, you then get to legendary. And you get some advantages sort of thing of playing up. So if you, say, finished in like gold in the previous season, when you start your next season, you'll get bonus stars that get added to when you win. So if you win, you get a star, and each rank has 3 stars, and that lets you up. In bronze rank, you can't lose stars, but as soon as you get over there, if you lose a game, you lose a star. So you get that, and if you are on a winning streak, it doubles the amount of stars that you get. So if you, say, played up to gold, maybe you started with like 4 extra stars at the start. So if you won, you get 4 stars instead. And say you're on a winning streak, that'll get doubled, so you'll get 8 stars. So if you played up into like diamond, you start with like 10 bonus stars, so you clear ranks pretty quickly. But by the time you hit diamond rank, you don't have any bonus stars anymore, and you stop getting bonus stars from win streaks at diamond 5. So at that point, it just becomes you must win. It's now 15. You must win 16 more games than you lose on your way to climbing up to legendary rank. And yeah, it takes a little bit. you kind of need to have the right decks, etc. But yeah.
So translate takes a little bit into hours for us. How many hours did it take you to climb?
Many lots.
How many days? Like when the league started to.
So I mean, I caught legendary on, I think it was like the 10th of this month. So it was 10 days worth of like work with there. Obviously, like not quite. Had some public holidays to kind of like sit down and grind it out, and like some lunch breaks to kind of just play. But yeah, like I'd say it took about, well, that's like 10 days within there. Like hour wise, yeah, quite a few. I'd say. I know, playing from, because like you started like bronze to get up to like the legendary rank, I'd say, probably about a good 15 hours worth of like sort of play with them there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And like that can really depend, as I say, by the time you get to the grind section of it, which is sort of diamond 5 up to legend, it's about like getting those like 15 more wins than losses sort of thing. And if you're on a losing streak, it's just bad. So you start having to like look out for it and be like, well, this deck that's only winning 51% of the time is not good enough. I need to get the deck that wins 60% of the time and play that. Which fortunately for me is Paladin, and Paladin is the deck that I've got like the most wins with, career-wise. Right. So I'm fairly like, cool, I have the whole collection of these cards because I like playing the deck. Can build it. Feel a bit bad from playing it, but it's kind of like it's horrible because like since I've made Legend with Paladin, I don't think I've touched the deck. I've just been like, no, I'm so
You're like,
over
done
it.
now. No more cheese, no more Paladin cheese.
No, exactly. So yeah, and it's also been interesting because like once you hit Legend, like it then switches over. So you once you hit Legend, you get a number. So there's like X many number of players in Legend, and then you then get ranked within it. And as more people get filled in, you slowly deteriorate unless you're playing and winning. So like when I got in at around like 5,000 something. So there'd already been like 5,000 people had done it already. So that's like streamers and players. And a bunch of other sort of things. And that was on the Euro server. So each server has a different legend like sort of section. And yeah, honestly, like if you know your Hearthstone and you can get yourself up to diamond rank, getting to legend is just a matter of time. And like it just takes, and it's also about like playing the 65% or the 61% deck over the whatever deck that's only getting like a little bit over 50. As with most card games, it's unfortunate, but yeah.
Okay, and then when you get to legendary status, does it give you like a cool skin or a card back? Or
They give you a legendary card. They give you a card back that you can then only legend players have, and at the end of the season, there's a whole bunch of extra rewards. So at the end of the month, there's like a few extra things that I would get, like so it's an extra card pack and an extra epic card, I think. So that's quite nice.
Okay, that's pretty cool. And then, so after doing that, how much Hearthstone have you played since you did it?
Now I've just been playing Battlegrounds. So no, like I haven't been playing that often. I'm like doing my quests and sort of stuff within there. I'm not in it to be like cool. I need to get into like the top 1,000, whatever. It's like the first time cracking it into there. I'm like, okay, I'm happy enough with just getting in there.
Yeah, you just wanted to prove to yourself that you could do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm also now trying out other decks. They put a whole bunch of nerfs in place like last week, Wednesday. So that was pretty good and pretty needed. There's a particular mage deck which kind of mechanically wise, and you can kind of think of it like from another card game sort of like wise. There's a mage deck that just plays spells. And like that's it. Like has no minions in its deck. And there's a particular spell that it used to be 2 mana, so you can play it on turn 2. And it transforms all the spells in your deck into spells that cost 3 higher, but still keeps the same cost that it was. So all your like 7 mana spells become 10 mana spells, but only cost you 7. And then they've got another spell that reduces all spells in their deck by 1, and then that costs 2 mana as well. So it's something like if the mage plays that particular spell on the second turn, or on the first turn, because they've got the coin, which gives you an extra mana to do it on the first turn, their win rate goes up to 70%.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a bit like, oh, well, that's a bit broken. And it's just like, it's a bit of a culmination of things, because that deck was around before the rotation, because we're just on the beginning of a new rotation. So clearly in the old rotation, there's a whole bunch of spells, and like, because it makes it random spells. It's not just like mage spells. It could be paladin or demon hunter or druid or whatever. When you've got like 6 sets worth of spells, you're going to get some junk spells off that card that just don't work. And you still do get some. There's like ones where it's like change all the attack and health of your, or change the cost and the attack of all of your minions in your deck to switch them around, sort of like thing. You're like, well, I've got no minions in my deck, so that doesn't help me. So you still get like some of those, but you also get like things where it's like, cool, summon like 4 3 attack minions that immediately attack the enemy. And that's like a 10 mana spell. So, and it's now 7 for you, or possibly even 5 because you've done that little combo. And because the spell pool is so much smaller, it's so much stronger because there's just quality. So it's a bit of a culmination of that. So they've increased that up to 4 mana. So it's a little bit later, and that's actually done a lot. You can see the stats are like, if they play it on turn 2, it's a 70%. If they play it on turn 4, it goes down to like a 50%. So then it's a bit more fair, especially for something that's so like low random. It was such a frustrating deck to play against on the ladder, because you'd be like, cool, I'm winning, and then they'd just like be like, well, I pull this random spell which is from a random class that I really shouldn't have, and it's the solution. You're like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind that happening, one every like 10 games or whatever. It was happening every other game. So it was a bit annoying with there. And then they also they printed another card for like the Paladin, which made them very strong, which draws cheap cards out of your deck and plays them immediately. And that just like, it's deck thinning. It's just natural that that's going to be very strong. And they also have this other card that whenever you play a spell, it goes back to your hand and it does 1 damage. And the paladins have this deck that you attach spells, it's like enchantments, onto your guys, and when they die, the spells come back to your hand. And the spell, you discount the spell permanently for the game, so it costs 0. So you're just like, okay, well, I play it on this minion, I kill the minion, I play it on this minion, and you just keep chipping away. So they changed that to no longer be able to hit the opponent, it can only hit the minions. So that slowed that a bit down, so that's been pretty good. And like there's some other ones they made just in case. Oh, they've got this lovely set of minions, like, because the whole point of this expansion, and you as a WoW player will appreciate it, it's the Barons. So they've got the different watch posts that are in the Barons as cards. So you've got like Farsight watch post, they've got like the Crossroads watch post, they've got whatever sort of thing in there. And they're minions that can't attack. But they've got very good stats, and when your opponent does something, they do something. So like the Far Watch one increases the mana cost of your opponent's cards they draw. So if you've got an opponent that just draws lots of cards, it's really crappy for them. And they've got another one that summons minions whenever your opponent plays minions. So against like Weedex or Zoo, very strong. So it slowed things down quite a bit. And then the last one, which hardly anyone plays, is like when your opponent plays a spell, it gives +1/+1 to all your minions. So you're like, good for you. My guys just got all bigger, then you try to kill them with your spells, sort of thing. And those all got like a bit nerfed because they were just a little bit too healthy to get rid of easily. So now we're starting to see some other decks like pop up, and I'm like trying to play those now. But yeah, I'm at like 13,000 now in Legend rank. I'm just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna play the other game modes and have fun.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like Hearthstone's quite healthy balance-wise. They're actually paying attention to the like.
They are. They sort of changed their outlook on it about a year ago. They used to be quite like unresponsive. They would wait quite a while before they changed stuff. And then they realized, like, why wait? And they now kind of do it like, they usually do like a nerfing about 2 weeks to a month into a new set. And then they keep watch. So they're like, okay, well, this particular card is being played in 70% of decks. We can't have that. It's just unhealthy. It's clearly an unhealthy card. We'll do something about it. And they've been a lot better about that. And like, they're not afraid to do like, oh, well, this card from 2 sets ago is not working how it should. Let's kind of moderate it. And they've been fair with like their stuff. Like most of the time they don't gimp something that you will never play it again. Sometimes they don't. But it was interesting because like Paladin had this really weird deck previous, like right at the end of the last year, where because of a combination of a bunch of cards, they could cheat out a card that summoned a whole bunch of Murlocs from their deck. And they could do that on like turn 4, where they just be like, okay, I play this one minion, I play a free spell on my turn, and I just pull all my Murlocs and fill my board with it. And I'm now beating you, sort of thing. So it's not like that. And like it was interesting because like they had like a lot of different points that they could have nerfed on there, and they just were like, well, we'll just make that card that you pull out on turn 4 1 mana more. It still makes it playable, but it's not like that particular deck isn't as strong as it used to be. It's not like there, and other guys can still play with the card as it was intended. So they're pretty fair-handed with it.
Against it, like just makes all.
It's also interesting now is with this new year and with this new cycle, they've completely redone how they give their cards out from their core set. There is no core set anymore. They're now just like there's no base set. There's now a core set. So the base set's gone. You don't get base cards anymore. You don't have to go back farm for legendaries and whatever. It's just, hey guys, if you play the game and you get each of the heroes up to level 10, you unlock all the cards in the core set, and that's legendaries and epics and rares and everything. And it's all for you to play with, like thing. So it's opened up a lot of like interesting things because I mean, like there's a lot of epic cards in particular that you didn't see when you first started Hearthstone, and it like prevented you from playing a lot of decks because like Warlock in particular, like particularly like the control variants, very epic and legendary heavy deck that you just
Mm.
would not play when you're playing for like your first like 6 months, because you're just like saving up to buy like Jiraxis or
Yeah,
you know.
finding just.
Yeah. So they've changed that up. They also got rid of a whole bunch of like charge cards. So charge cards are things that can attack on the turn you play them. And they were like, it's a bit fast, it's a bit gimmicky, you want to slow things down a little and make it feel a bit more fair. So they got rid of a whole bunch of those. They changed it so it's things that like they can attack minions when they come in, but they can't attack like the face sort of thing.
It's a good balance.
And it was also interesting because like they redesigned a whole bunch of cards that were like very classic sort of things. So like Alex Stratzer, who like is set a player to 15 health. They've now been like, when you play her, she does 8 damage if you target an enemy, or 8 heals 8 if it targets an ally. Or Deathwing, who just kills everything on the board and you discard your entire hand, is now cool. He kills everything on the board, and for everything he killed, you discard a card. So they've done a lot of like interesting little things with there. They've played around with a lot of like archetypes and stuff. They got rid of a lot of the burst damage in classes that shouldn't have burst damage. So overall, definitely a much better experience, I think.
They've been paying attention to this to their balance quite closely, it seems.
Yeah, and which is interesting because I mean, like their team, they lost their like head designer not too long ago, and I mean, like obviously with card games, like they're probably like 2 years in the future already with all of their stuff that they're testing and playing out with. But they've taken it in their stride, it seems, and like they're still kind of going, and like they've taken a lot of the feedback from the players around rewards, etc., and actually are making a good effort to, you know, make it worthwhile to play the game. So, yeah.
And what about Legends of Runeterra? Have you been still playing that?
My Riot account is bitchy, so no. So I know a couple of people who have been playing it. Like I still think Legends of Runeterra has a much better rewards track, like way easily much better, and like I enjoy the tactical depth of it. But I'm so ingrained into like Hearthstone that it's like kind of like nah, we're staying here.
Yeah, and it helps as well that it's like the Blizzard IP and lore and stuff. So you've got you've got an investment already.
I do, but you know, I also was saying I have an investment in League of Legends, like lore. Even though you know, I think we were original players, so we're kind of like, oh, I remember when they were just like people. what's this Demacia thing? But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting to me as well because Magic's recently now you can play Arena on your phone. And that's been like super tempting to get back into because like the new Magic sets, this like it's Hogwarts for Magic. Like
they've also gone on like a real like they've hit all the YouTubers that I watch, and all of them are doing videos on like, and I'm like, oh damn it, Magic, how dare you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Like they've kind of it's also interesting in Magic at the moment because they finished off their big story for the last like 8 years. And we're like in a new era of Magic, so there's like all these like new characters that they're sort of introducing and defining a bit better. So yeah, it's a lot of like, oh, that's really cool. I'd like to kind of give that a go. But at the same time, I'm like, I'll just watch the videos where people are playing, and maybe I'll build a commander deck because that's a fun like thing, and it's cheap-ish, and maintaining that is relatively like innocuous, but. Yeah,
look, I don't think I'd ever buy any physical Magic cards, but certainly Arena is very tempting. Just for nostalgia's flavor, you know.
Yeah. As all, I mean, like the current set as well. They've got like some interesting. You'd love it because they've got a blue-red like faction. That's like really like they are like so quintessential blue-red. It's hilarious.
They're like all Mathemagics and stuff.
Yes, exactly. And like they're like. They've got this really massive spell. I can't remember the damn name of it, but it's like it costs huge mana to play, but it's so blue-red in order to do it. It's just this like sort of like grand opening of like this grand invention that they've made, and it just finishes the game effectively when you play it. But it's so like yes, and like the black-white faction within it is very cool as well because they're all like ink masters. And all about tradition. They're very Slytherin. and like it's this very interesting sort of mechanic and stuff within it. But they've got like a lot of fun little combinations and yeah, so I don't know,
So do you
lots of
think
stuff.
they've kept the identities of the magic schools just quite distinct from the Ravnican guilds?
Yes, yeah.
Because
Yes and
that would
no.
be my
There's some overlap. Like
worry. I'd be worried if they'd be too
they're
sharing
they're
the color combos with the
they're
Ravnican guild.
different enough from the Ravnica that we last saw, but
Mm-hmm.
they're very close to the original Ravnica, if that makes sense.
Okay, right.
So like the blue red feels very like
Yeah.
original Isaac. The first time we saw Isaac, you know, the black white are very like they feel very similar to the first Orzhov that we saw because it's all like about getting spirit tokens and you know sacrificing your dudes to do stuff to your opponent and kind of things, but keeping these like spirit tokens that then do other things and gaining life from a number of opponents and stuff. So yeah, I think it's distinct enough that they're still there in passion. It's also quite cool because they've got like the one professor is just Lillian Voss, not Lillian
Uh,
Voss. Or what's her name? It's Lillian as well, but like they've effectively like after her whole like becoming a villain and turning being redeemed and whatever, she's now like I'm done with just everything. I'm going to become a teacher. You're like, oh, that's quite cool,
hmm,
Professor Onyx.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tempting, I won't lie. But
Mm.
thankfully, life is busy. And I
Yeah.
think if I was more idle, I would get sucked into it more readily. But
Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon so. You've kind of folded with like TTS stuff.
yeah, various TTS things and work's very busy and stuff. So
Mm.
I never find myself sitting being like, what should I do or play? Like,
Yes, that's
the
good.
last several weeks have I ever felt that feeling. So,
Nice, nice. Yeah. Well, we're running out our hour of being on. So any other sort of like things we want to talk about besides our card game stuff? I definitely Emily is Away 3 got released on Friday. And
mhm.
played through my first playthrough of it. And that was really good. Like
Yeah.
as anyone who grew up, well, I don't know, had Facebook around the times of like your late teens into like your early 20s sort of like thing, it like
Mhm.
hit like all the nostalgia notes. You're like, oh wow. I remember poking people.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, that's been fun. It's an interesting one because like I don't know. Have you played Emily is Away?
I played the first one. I never played the
Okay.
second
So
one. But
the second one they introduced like a mechanic where they introduced a second girl, Evelyn, and
mhm.
like there was a interesting sort of love triangle thing going on within it. And now the third game keeps Evelyn and Emily sort of like thing within there. But I always love it because like they don't recognize the previous game as canon. But the
Right.
events that happened in the previous game have also kind of happened to the characters in the next game.
Okay.
So like, you know, when you speak to Emily in the second game, she mentions this guy that she was used to talk about, like talk to over the internet, and that you know things like got a bit weird between them. And in
Right.
like the third game, they're like, ah yes, you know, well Emily and Evelyn and like they stopped being friends because of this guy that kind of got between them.
Mhm.
So it's kind of interesting to see that it still kind of keeps the cues, but it
Hmm.
isn't the same within it,
Same universe, but
but not at the
yeah,
same
but not.
time. It's a bit of a weird one with there, but it's really good. Like it's same sort of vibe. The second game had some real time sort of things, like so you would like have to like talk to both girls and kind of pick who you're talking to because they'd be like, ah, something's gone on. And you're like, but I'm talking to this person, but there. Then the second one, oh, sorry, the third one is just like Facebook and chatting on Facebook and stuff. But it's interesting because there'll be like a post will pop up and like inform like stuff that'll be like, oh, did you see that she posted a picture of you two together, sort of like thing? And you're like, what? I didn't see that, sort of like thing, or all those kinds of things. But it is a bit of a weird one in that your first playthrough of the game is always doomed to fail.
Oh,
It's
okay.
deliberately coded that way. So even if you've played well and you've like managed things correctly, you will always break up with whoever you choose. And then you have to play through a second time to actually get like a ending where it actually follows a route that you followed,
Yeah.
which a bit gimmicky, but I suppose like at least forces you to kind of see the content of both sides.
That reminds me of what's it called? Doki Doki Literature Club,
Yes. Oh.
where the like characters start to become aware that they're like in a dating sim and stuff, and start editing your files and crashing the game and stuff.
Yeah. That was a ride as well.
But yeah, I haven't played anything really recently. I did get the new Stellaris expansion, but I haven't had a chance to give it a spin yet. It looks really fun.
The last one felt very like, I don't know, game breaking-y. So I hope the current one isn't. It had corporations.
Oh yeah. No, that wasn't so bad at all, actually, to be honest.
Okay,
Playing a corp was actually really hard in that game.
Maybe it was just the Fig Brit who tainted my perspective of it.
It's a good creature. And they actually did a stream with all
him.
All of the other streamers. And like they just had their little corner of the universe and Spiff slowly growing it like. But I'm looking forward to playing that, but I'll report back on if it's a good expansion. But I suspect it will be. It looks fun to play.
Yeah. I mean, like most of this work, so like things within there are is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing. Before I've also been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. Like I eventually got around to like actually installing it after buying it. It's free at the moment though. And hilariously, it's free at the moment after being 40% off like last weekend. So you feel sorry for all the people who are like, oh yeah, it's finally on sale.
What platform is free on at the moment?
I think on GOG.
Is it on GOG? Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I must grab it.
You should. It's really good. A lot of fun. Reminds me of like the older Assassin's Creed games, but with dinosaurs that are robots.
Yeah.
So
that is pretty much what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I've been doing is I've so my anime watching has fallen way behind, right?
Same.
So what I've done is I now wake up half an hour earlier every day and I just watch an episode of anime over my breakfast, right?
Nice.
So what that's let me do is slowly start catching up on things. And there's a new anime that I started watching. It's this season, so it's only like a few. And it's called 69. And
nice.
No, actually, it's not even called 69. That was a Freudian slip. It's called 86. It's called 86, and if you liked Iron-Blooded Orphans, you'll like this anime because it's very good vibes. Where they've got this, so I think it's set on actual Earth. I don't know because we're only a few episodes in. Like one of the nations built this like autonomous army that sort of went out of control and actually wiped the nation out. Before it wiped the nation out, they declared war on their like neighboring nation, right? And the neighboring nation didn't know how to handle these like autonomous battle units.
Yeah.
So what they did is they like almost seceded themselves into a much smaller city-state, and then everyone else in the nation still became like they lost all their human rights, and then they became like non-humans so that they can then pilot the mechs. But in the news stories, no humans are ever lost in battle because there's just these processes running these mechs to fight the war, you know?
Yeah.
And then the commanders in the city sit in their safe city commanding these units. And the story is about like one of these sort of elite units that are keeping themselves alive. Until there's like a countdown until the autonomous units all shut down because they've got like a limited shelf life. I strongly suspect when
totally not Evangelion-y.
Yeah. Well, I suspect when they get to that date, they're not going to shut down, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of cool.
I'm enjoying it so far, and it is very Iron-Blooded Orphans with the whole like forced into war kind of.
Yeah.
And they're all quite young, and like.
Will they become villains in season 2?
Well, yeah. I strongly suspect because like the main character in the city, who's like one of the people in this fortified city, because this unit has this reputation of driving all their handlers insane.
Okay.
Because they use this Neuralink system to link with the squad mates and like sort of order them around and control them. So like all the previous controllers of the units have either been driven insane or requested transfers or like committed suicide or
lovely.
The stories about this like young optimistic commander who sort of takes over the control of the unit, and she's or like she sort of treats them like humans. She's like, what the hell is wrong with them? You know, like
Yes,
they're not parts; they're actually humans.
Okay, that's interesting. I must give it a look at it. Is it on Crunchyroll?
Yeah, it's on Crunchyroll.
Okay, I just started a Crunchyroll like subscription because I was like, I need to like start watching My Hero Academia because it's season 5 now and I'm watching season 4.
Give breakfast anime a chance. It actually has been working for me.
It's a bit of an annoying thing for me because, like, I mean, my anime watching I used to do it for while I was painting because I would just put on the dub and then just go. But Crunchyroll doesn't do dubs, so it's kind of like, well, I suppose I have to put time to actually watch this, but that's fine. I've been enjoying it. I've really been enjoying My Hero Academia with that. So
good series.
yeah.
And then the other series I'm watching on Crunchyroll is So I Got Reincarnated as a Spider.
It's a spider. So what? Oh,
yeah. Which is great as well.
Is it an offshoot of the slime or not?
It's entirely its own thing. And it sort of makes fun at the whole isekai reincarnation thing.
Oh, lovely.
Well, it starts out making fun of it, but then by the time you're like at
leans
episode
into it,
9, you're like, what? This is just a reincarnation show. But I'm actually invested now, so screw you guys.
Haha, got you. What's it like? What was under the mask?
Yeah,
isekai.
I mean, literally, the first comment, the person, because she gets reincarnated as like a baby spider, like in a nest of 1,000 million baby spiders, right?
Yes, yeah.
Like, the first skill I'm going to pick is like appraisal, because in all light manga or light novel isekais, that's the most broken skill. And then it's entirely useless. And she's like,
yes.
Why?
No. That's great. That's great. I'll give it a look out for it. Oh, cool. Yeah. If you enjoyed our suggestions and such, do give them a watch. Let us know on our socials if there's any other animes that you would like us to watch.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, I think we'll catch you around. We'll be doing this again in 2 weeks. We'll find something else. Greg, you need to find to be something legend in something or other. Well, I mean, you won the Infinity thing. I didn't even mention that.
I'm literally in leagues right now, though.
Yes. Win them all as well. Maybe we'll have something more to talk about.
There's certainly Infinity things I can talk about.
Yay. Okay. Yeah, so please do check us again. Check us out on all of our usual socials, etc. Otherwise, catch us as part of the Molecast as well. I mean, we're broadcasting on their Twitch at the moment, so give it a watch. Join us again. So if you're listening to this later, it's at 8 o'clock on every other Tuesday. Look out for it. Otherwise, catch us out on our Wednesday. So if you want to give this a listen again, watch us on our YouTube, etc. Look out on Wednesdays, and you'll find us there.
Yeah, available where all good podcasts live.
I haven't found us on Spotify, Greg. I haven't found us on Spotify.
Well, actually, I don't know if it's integrated. If Libsyn is integrated with Spotify.
We must find because there's another Geek of all trades that's popped up on Spotify while we were on our sabbatical, Greg. It's very sad. But they stopped, so we can reclaim it.
Okay. Well, yes. I'll investigate it. If we're not on Spotify yet, we will be soon.
Yes. All right then. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll catch you out another time.
Cheerio.
Ciao.